And it was my dream to stand up those tubes, to make them able to stand up without the legs splaying out, without the back legs wanting to sit down. And so this is how we're going to do it. And here's our head, which was 90 rows. And on the other ones, I did 245 so that I had a drawstring on both ends. I just put one inside the other. This time, I think I was going to just try it this way. Need to be able to cinch this. I'm just going to go in and out of every two, but not going to cinch it yet. We never want to cinch it completely shut until we're sure we have enough stuffing in it. And I want to be able to put eyes in there. Okay, so I can still get in here and add kapok or stuffing. I'm going to cinch this up. This is going to become my nose. Cinch this up, keeping it nice and neat. I'm going to have a big old nose over this, so I'm not going to be too concerned about getting it perfectly drawn up. I don't want to break my threads. So snugging it up, and I'm going to tie it. Okay, well, there it is. Reach back here for some stuffing. And I want to keep it narrow. Narrow this way. Start building it up right here for its head. Stiffen up its snout, but not make it fat. Takes a little bit of futzing to get it the way you like it. And it's going to sit up here like this. It's hard to get it. These are really big animals, so it's hard to get them in the camera, but we're going to sew it up here on its shoulders. And the reason I don't want to close this up is because you'll put more and more stuffing in here to control the head. You don't want the head, not to have enough stuffing in here and then the head is rocking back and forth. So that's why we're leaving it open. We'll even close this gusset up a little bit more than it is right now, and then we'll just use our fingertips to keep putting the stuffing in there until we get the head stabilized. So right now, I'm looking at the nose and I'm thinking when you drop your tubes, you'll always see like maybe a little flatter section. So if we are getting like kind of happy with the way the shape of the head is going, and definitely need more up here to fill it out, then we can think about putting the bottom lip on there. So the bottom lip is this little piece that we did here that was 14 rows. And I'm going to pull this one end a little bit, but not all the way like I would at the top of the beanie, because I want it to, and then I'm going to whip stitch it shut because I want it to go on here and become the bottom lip. And the bottom lip needs to, have some shape to it. So I have it about 2 fingers width. And I'm going to go ahead and take my needle and close it. And I'm going to leave my thread. I'm not even going to tie a knot because I like to have something to tie onto. And here's the bottom of the lip. So I've just put like 3 fingers in. I'm going to snug it up on my 3 fingers. 3 fingers. And whip stitch it shut. And I'm going to leave a thread here too. So this is going to become the bottom lip. Okay, the smaller part is going to get rid of this here. And on this guy, my drawstrings are about right here. So it's about 2 fingers, 2.5 fingers down from the drawstring. So what I think I'll do is just get rid of these two long strings. 2 fingers down, and I'm going to sew it on here for a bottom lip. Starting back on the back side here, I'm going to try to follow one of these rows straight up. No way it's going to be straight, but I'm going to come out. Okay, let me turn it around. Just holding it down. I'm going to come out right here because I'm going to tie to this in a minute, and I'm just going to take a stitch and leave a tail and come in the side here on my first one. 1 stitch just to anchor it there. Okay, then I'm going to take a stitch coming up, just holding it the way I want it to go, but I'm going to mattress stitch it into the lower lip because I have a nice line right here to follow. Okay, just a tiny little bit of stuffing in there just to round that out. It's mostly right up in here, and now I'm just going to go ahead and stitch across here. And we're about ready to put this head on. I can't say I'm famous for unthreading my needle because this is my first video, but I will become famous for it, if there's such a thing. Okay, just coming across the bottom here. Whip stitching it in. Going through this here so that I'm not like just flopping my brown up onto the white. I'm kind of like mattress stitching it in these threads that wrap, well, that go around the cast on thread where we snug this up. Okay, almost done. And I've got my white thread right here that I actually tucked away a minute ago, and I actually think I'm going to tie onto it. I'll tie onto my brown one, snug it up, and then bury these threads. Then my brown one's down this way, and the white one up into the snout, into its lip. And now the white one, rid of it. Okay, we're getting a snout that's coming flat up. I'm going to make my nose out of black felt. You can make your nose over the hole right here by going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until you build up a really nice nose. I'm going to have black coming this way and down. I want the head to be built to come up like this and be a little bit higher right in here. I'm not sure where I want to put the eyes yet. I don't want it to be so far back that I can't put the mane on. Since I decided this was the front because it stands a little higher, and we'll smooth this out, and it's going to have a glorious mane up here anyway. So I want it to be like this, and let me bring it down into the camera a little bit, like this. Isn't that beautiful? Look how he's got a lower lip. So what happens is we'll sew this on by going around, And then we'll probably go around even a couple more times. This right here is going to end up coming down. So keep that in mind, that when we bring this up and we pull this down over it, that it's going to make that nice chest. It's going to pull that away from, but we're going to start sewing this on, and remembering that this chest area is coming down like this. So I have to face him towards me so I can see his face. And I'm going to just start on the side over here. I'm going to leave a tail. Probably have to go around 2 or 3 times till I get it nice and sturdy feeling. And I'm going to just start going around. Under 2 stitches on the body and under 2 stitches, following the row. I'm actually following the row that goes right up to this corner of its lip, right to this back corner of the lip. I'm on that row. When I get about 3 fingers away from where that bottom lip starts, I'm going to start coming across its chest from left to right. And then I'm going to find the row right here coming off the bottom of his lip that I'm going to come back into to sew going this way. We're still going to draw this string up here and futz around with our stuffing to put our eyes on. So you want to allow it to have like a little curve coming up. So we're just coming around back here. So I'm staying back 4 fingers from where it's drawn up. A good 4 finger widths. Now I've gotten back to where I started. So I'm going to go around again, and I'm going to then decide where the eyes are going to go. So now you can see by leaving this open that if we put more stuffing up here, we can actually control the head by how much stuffing we put up there. So so the last thing I do is close up this and this. So his head's looking pretty good. And now we have our ears that we made that were the 2 different colors. And we're going to do them like a beanie. So I've already pulled my white thread to the inside, and I'm going to just bring this in half, pull up my brown thread, nice and neat. And now I can put my finger right there and kind of control so that I'm going to the center here. Bring my yarn through from the white, pull it tight, pull this tight, and now I'm going to have a nice big ear, nice and neat. Flatten it out, line up these center points. If you want to sew it shut with a few stitches, definitely do that, but with the mane on there, it's really not going to show. Be surprised how it's not going to show. So what I do is take my dark thread, because that's my long thread, that's what I'm going to sew with, and just bring it down to the end of where I'm folding it over. Bring it out right on the edge and tie a knot so that I'm not, when I'm sewing, that I'm not cinching this up right here, because I need the ears to show. I need them to stay big. Okay, and now not closing it up. And by doing it this way, it's so much easier to take it up and loosen it up, where if it's the end of like a beanie and you've already cinched it up, it's really hard to get it to come undone. I don't know why. And there needs to be a lot more stuffing in there. But let's see where the ear is going to go, because that way we can decide where the eye should go. So this is the one I've got ready to go on. I'm going to follow him up this way, and maybe I'll bury this little yarn to get rid of it, so it's not in the way. Although it could become part of the mane. If I left it on there, I would just take all the strands of the yarn and untwirl them into 4 separate strands, and it would become part of the mane. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to just decide where I think the ears should go. And the reason I have both of them is so I can hold them both on. And it looks an awful lot like a monkey here. Okay, so I have the ears sewn on. And I did that off camera because it's so hard to show. The back of the ears are not going to show. There's going to be just a huge mane back there. So what I did is I sewed across the front. Then I sewed it back this way so they would stand up. So I took some stitches coming this way to sturdy them. And we're still flopping a little bit, but we'll take care of that. And now I cut it, my nose out of black felt. So I just took a piece of black felt, folded it in half so that it's perfect on both sides, and cut like a little modified heart so it's shaped like this. And to give you an idea of how big it is, I cut mine like 3 times and just kept holding it up till I liked the way it looked. It's 2¼ inches across, and from the top to the bottom is 1¾ inches. And I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm going to glue it on here. And I think it gives a nicer look. I'm going to be able to line it up better when I'm looking at it. It covers up a lot of this stuff right here and gives it a nice look. I'm going to make sure that it comes to the bottom of here. Covers that up. And then I'm going to actually, like I did on him, take another piece of black felt and cut just a nice little strip and put it right over the edge there so that it gives him a nice clean little lip line. It's these, because they're light enough that they're going to show up. So if I just put my eye in, it's so small, it's going to fade away. Felt outline. I'm going to make this next one even bigger because when the eye got popped in, it sucked that felt up and made it smaller. An eye shape, my felt. I have a nose, and now I can do my eye. Here's my eye on the felt. It's actually, I know you can't tell it on camera. Let me put his nose on. It's pretty well lined up. I have this many stitches. I went to the center one, came down 13, found my center here because I had six of these rows that come this way secured to the head, and I came down 13. And then when I put my nose on, I'll make sure that I'm lining that up over here, you know, and bringing it up here. And then I'll put the little black piece right here on its mouth, outline its mouth. We want to keep its nose narrow up here, and we'll work on that a little bit after we pop these eyes on. So we'll have some beautiful eyes when we make those kittens that little girls like so much. Okay, I'm going to snap the snap on it. I can still get my hand in here really well. And hopefully I'll hear a nice snap sound. There it is. I think. Okay. I'm going to bring them down on my lap. Make sure the stuffing is not underneath this snap. There it is. Snap. They were not snapped, but they're snapped now. I heard them. And the minute it snaps, it sucks up the felt. Now we got our eyes on, and we'll work with those in a minute. We'll trim out that felt. Should have plugged in my glue gun. I didn't. I'm going to plug it in now so it'll get hot fast. Get back my mat so I don't mess up my son's table. We're about ready to start doing the fun stuff. What I think is fun is the adornment. Okay, here we go. So what I'm going to do is his paw pads are going to go forward, kind of like this, you know, so that he's got toes. So I want to sew it right barely past where this round circle is. I want to keep it right on the edge right here. And when I come towards the front, I'm going to start coming down this way a little bit to draw that pad forward. So you'll see I'm going to start right on the side here, and I'm going to keep it back. I'm going to go under 2 stitches of the brown, and then I'm going to go under the 2 stitches on the white. And it's going to be a perfect match because there's 22 going around. So if you don't miss one, when you get around to this side, you'll be right on the money, 22 and 22. Staying right on the edge, and you'll want to pull it pretty snug as you go around so that it's straight up and down, not curving. Just, I'm having trouble with the light coming through the Venetian blinds on the boat here. It's all windows. Those are Venetian blind tracks. Okay, almost missed a stitch. So coming back up to get this one, lining it up with this one. It's going to be an adorable paw pad with the claws on it. We've made it to the side. We started right here on the side. This is still open. We're going to start stuffing it and pulling that little paw forward. Isn't that adorable? You can see how it's coming forward here. And we do that by bringing this up onto the front of the pad a little, off his foot a little bit. So I'm going to just sit him back on his tail and finish sewing this up. So I'm going to be still going every stitch matched up on the leg, matching up to the paw pad, but I'm angling them up just a little bit as I get to the front to pull that pad forward until I'm maybe 3 stitches higher up in the front than I was when I was just running it around through the back. Okay, coming around. Now's the time to decide if you want more stuffing. And I think it's pretty good. The tendency is always to want to put a little more, right? All right, I'm going with this. Okay, perfect match. Got around where I started with the exact amount of stitches that should have been there. Now I'm going to snug it up nice and snug. And just go a few stitches past there so I don't have a knot right there. Hey, but it's not going to show because there's something we're going to do next. It's going to make sure it doesn't show. So I'm just coming around 2 or 3 stitches away, and I'm going to go ahead and tie my knot. Make sure it's nice and secure. I'm going to do a second knot. And then bury the thread. Thread's buried. And now we have an adorable paw pad on. I love it. And we have 3 more to do. You can see how it comes forward almost like a horse's hoof, which if you're making a horse would be a good thing too. So he's taken shape. So what I will sew the other 3 on off camera, but now that the glue gun's hot, I'm going to glue his nose on. I'm going to put his nose on, making sure I cover up that hole before I press it on too firm. Make sure it looks lined up and it looks pretty good. I really prefer the low heat glue stick. So much easier to work with. Nose. And I was going to do a little piece on his lower lip. So now I have a mouth on there. And I'm going to take my fur with the brown on it, and here's how I'm going to finish the paw pad. I'm going to actually put the glue onto the paw rather than onto the fur, because that doesn't work, but I'm going to start kind of here at the back, and when you overlap it just a tiny little bit, you're not even going to notice it, but you'll see in the fur yarn that there's actually a thread that runs through here, and it's not even a thread. It's like almost, it's not a thread, it's a little bit wide. So when you run a little bead on here, you can just put it on your paw pad, hold on to the edge, and then just lay this down on top of that bead. Don't put it on thick because you're not trying to have it come out and, you know, make a mess. So just come around and without even putting your hand into the glue, just hold your yarn over it. And this is just a good way to make that paw extra fuzzy and adorable. Make a nice little fur band and then just lay them down. I'm actually going to cut this off to about the right size with a little bit of an overlap, so I'll have a whole ball of yarn hanging on here. So I'm going to just keep coming around here with a really thin, light bead of glue. You just don't want it to be clumped up or to feel it. And you don't have to put your fingers on it if you just pull your fur over it. Adorable little paw pad. Okay, so off camera, I put the rest of the paw pads on and put the fur around them. So he's now got little paw pads to stand on that kind of come forward. Maybe not so easy to see in the picture. Still got a wobbly head. So the reason we leave it open, put your head up, dear, is adding more stuffing up in here, and this will close up really even after we start putting the lion mane on. But by putting more stuffing up here and securing it a little more on the sides to stabilize the head, I'm going to put a little more stuffing right underneath his head, where his head is on. That's going to lift his head up. You can actually feel it under your fingers under there where his head is, and that lifts his head up, lifts his chin up, sturdies the head even more. So much better. Just working some more stuffing down into here gently, mostly under his neck. And I'm thinking about sewing him up, but not completely, up to within an inch of where his neck is. So I'm going to lay him down and just take a few more stitches, staying in my track. Coming up to this point where we'll then be pulling this down to meet the gusset. So I'm going to get thread my needle on the other side on that long thread. I have to roll him towards me to be able to see what I'm doing. After stitching it up, draw it closed. It closes so nice. More stitches. More stitches. Okay. Okay. Put more stuff in the back of his head. I'm going to cinch it up a little bit with my drawstrings. Get a little more feeling of how much is in there. Starting to look good. Maybe just one more little handful to raise the top of his head up a little bit. Okay, and a little bit more cinching. Ears up, buddy. Okay, I think we've got the right amount of stuffing in there. Of course, the tendency is to always want to add just a little bit more. So here we go, a little bit more. Pulling the strings, checking them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drawstring him shut. As much as I can, and then we'll have to sew it. But I can get it almost closed. And that's going to be well hidden in his mane. And close the hole in the back of his head. And it's time to start putting the mane on. And to me, that's the fun part. Just cut them off, maybe 3 inches long, like the lion's mane will be. Okay. So here's how I do my lion's mane. So I'm going to just get something that's about 4 inches. Might be this book, 5 inches. And I have another roll of this, a full of this brown yarn. Get this out of here. We're not going to do any more gluing. I'm going to take my brown thread. Okay, I had to go cut a piece of cardboard to wrap my yarn around. So I'm going to use the white fur, the brown fur, and a brown from the body color, and see what that looks like. Start by winding it around the cardboard. And I like them to be down on the floor. So let me just take them down on the floor. It's easier to wind it if it's not up on the table. Here we go. We'll see how this looks with double fur. Just going to cut it off. Put my cell phone on it to hold the ends up here. Then I'm going to cut right down at the bottom because that's where I started winding and I don't want to lose any of my precious fur yarn. And I just do a bunch like this and then lay it out. I'm going to throw this over here since I'm not using it. Laid out beside me. Now, I have a latch hook, which I love because I'm going to do 3 at a time with it. And you can do it with your, with a crochet hook. You'll go in, you'll grab these 3, pull them through, and then because it's so furry, you don't even really have to be too concerned about which way you're going to loop it because the fur just covers everything up. But in the interest of time, I'm going to do the latch hook. I'll do a few and then go off camera because it's so hard to get him on the camera. Okay, so I want a latch hook. I want it to come a little bit down on his forehead. I want them to hang in front of his ears. It's going to come from here. I'm going to start latching coming up this way. And then I'm going to do rows. I'm going to stay a couple apart. You'll see maybe even a little further apart since I'm using 2 of the yarns. So I'll just lay him down. And I'm going to start right here at the corner of his mouth. And I'm going to come in and go under a couple of stitches with my latch hook. I'm going to grab the 3 of these, and it's really easier if you're only using, it's easier to just do 2, but it goes faster if you've got 3 in here. And I have never done 2 of the fur yarns together. So the latch is back now, and I'm going to loop these, and when I start pulling it back through, it's going to bring the latch forward. We'll see what it looks like. I could go to Walmart and get more white cream color yarn. Well, it looks pretty good. I like the different colors in there. That's the reason I just wanted to have some, you know, just like a person's hair, to have different colors in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just back up a few away from that and go in and pull it through again. The latch hook will open and close and allow me to pull that through. Oh, that fur flying. And I just want to snug it up, especially my brown yarn. Take each of these strands, and this is where it's either going to be a beautiful mane or an amazing mane. Separate them, and they separate really easily into 4 pieces, and it gets very curly, adds texture. I could do it way better if it was facing me, and you'll actually see them in there. You can see how it just immediately is curling up in there and making it look really so much nicer. So I'm going to get a couple rows apart. I'm going to come up this way. I'm going to work it around this way, come up towards the corner, towards his ear. And he has a dent in the back of his head. That doesn't matter. We're going to fill all of this in, come around this way, and start coming down towards the bottom corner of his mouth right here. So that's not going to take that long, but I'm going to go off camera. Okay, I timed it, and to put this mane on took 1 hour and 38 minutes, which I think is faster because it was 2 layers of fur yarn to one of the brown, but I still untwisted every single one of those strands. Now, to come across the face, I'm putting just one strand of the dark here to darken it up. Just putting it right along here. I did this side so you could just see how the difference is. Then we're going to sew his neck up by bringing this down over the top of this gusset. I think you could see how to sew that. We're just going to blanket stitch across. I always do it last. He needs a tail. He's got a lot of fur residue on him that I'll have to get off. A lot of fur in the house. You can see it right here. So a lot of white in here. My son actually said he likes the mane, so in person it's pretty glorious. After I get this sewn up right across the front right here, I'm going to bring his mane down in maybe just one row down underneath there to lengthen it just a little bit like I did on the other ones. And then we will put whiskers on, almost ready to call done. I'm going to have to bring him down onto my knee, bring his chest down. And we'll do it the same way we did when we did the gusset. I have this whip stitch together, and I'm going to come down a stitch so that all of the bad part goes up inside. So just put 2 at a time on quicker. Okay, here I am under his chin, coming down onto his chest area, and I'm just going to quickly latch hook these on. Okay, so I'm happy with the mane. I'm going to come back here and sew this up the same way I did the front. I'm going to sew up to the edge and then bring this down over it. Then we'll put a tail on. Okay, so now we just have whiskers and tail to put on. So what I've done is just ballparked. Well, I'll measure it. I'm going to braid a tail. It's about 20 inches long. It's both of my fur colors and the body yarn color. So I'm going to just thread it on my needle. And in order to braid, we need 3 of these. I don't even think I can get all these on my needle at once, but let's see. Got one of them. Okay. If I can get one more fur on there, I'll pull it through all at once. If not, I'll pull the pull it through separate. So I'm going to come up right about here on his butt in the center, which didn't look like the center in the camera, but so I'm going to come up here and pull this through. Grab this white fur. Pull it through. You know, I probably could use my latch hook and pull that through. Let me get it. See if this is going to work better. Oh yeah. There it goes. The white. Just pulling it through into the same little area right here. And I'll pull this last one through all at once. Yay, latch hook. It's not just for mains. Well, apparently pulling through the whole bunch is not going to work so well. So let me just do 2 of them. It's just too much. Okay. The latch hook has to close or it won't go through. And that's how much easier it is if it's closed. And so it's not just so much white. I'm going to pull this last white one through at the bottom here. We'll see how this works. Okay. Got it pulled through, and I'm going to braid it. Okay. Now I'm going to just braid. You know how to braid. Over and under. Coming down. I'm going to tie it around more than once. There we go. Knot it. Trim it. And I'm going to take these ends and I am going to pull them apart so he has more of a little pom-pom on his tail. Just turn it counterclockwise, and they separate so easily. There are several of them in here that I can pull. Ooh, okay. There's our tail. Black for some whiskers. Nice long piece. Excuse me, threaded on the needle. And I probably just want to do 3. I'm going to come in right about here and follow the track. Come in, follow back, come in, follow back. Going to come up in my mane under its lip, and I want to come out near its nose and fan out instead of coming out at the cheek and then going towards his nose. So I'm going to come up above his lip. And we have a nice narrow nose. We have a beautiful mane. And I think for tonight, he's done. Cute little tail. He stands up. He has nice little feet, and what I did on this one, I'll show you, and I'm not going to bother to do it on this one right now, is I just did the little 1, 2, 3, 4 as though those were his toenails, but it's really, really late, and when I get the time, I'll put toenails on him. And I do like this one's mane better with the thinner yarn and just one strand of the fur yarn. But this is softer. This is way more tactile and really nice to put your fingers into. So what I'll do before I call it done is I just want to trim without cutting my stitches. And I don't have my reading glasses. I just want to make the shape around his eye just a little bit more nicely shaped. All right, I don't want to do too much. It's the camera angle. He looks pretty darn cute. Here's, there he is. So we'll have 4 of them.